we might as well discuss about UniFly as well, because UniFly has had a bit of a massive update. If you guys are not aware of UniFly, this is basically what it is. We'll go ahead. I'm going to share my screen in a second just so you guys can see. But UniFly is basically a cross-sim multiplayer platform. This is something that me and another person who I talk to a lot have created in the background, who have basically done, including one of my main friends as well. That allows you to connect your Microsoft Flight Simulator, Prepared, and Explain all together in one big, network. There's the online stuff as well. This is what the client currently looks like, but it has slightly changed at the moment because we're going back into a beta phase, because we're starting to get Explain out as soon as we possibly can. But there's a lot of things in the background that just need that little final bit of tweaking, if that makes sense. So the program that we programmed this in the first place was Visual Studio 2022, which is the one that's opening now. It's a lovely piece of software, don't get me wrong, but I absolutely hate it in another way. Love planes, what are you flying? I'm not flying, I'm just talking about the software that we're creating. So this is actually code that we've started doing. So I've started doing like a feature list to try and do things. So one of the streams that I might do in the future is a coding stream for UniFly, and just do, allow people to talk to me and discuss things, but also come up with new features as well that we might be able to put in as well. There's a couple of things I want to do, such as this Add Flight, which is the background to flight tracking and everything else like that. So it might do that as well. If you guys have ever wanted to know what UniFly is, there is also a command for that. It should be that one. Is that going to work? We'll just go to unifly.gg. That might just be better. I don't know why that command's not working. Is that a command? I love it when I've got commands and it's like, do I even know if that command works? Absolutely not. Shows I haven't done a stream on it for a while. Unifly.gg is basically the thing. But this is all coded in Visual Studio, and it was coded in Visual Studio for the previous version, but we've now changed it to now be Visual Studio plus some other stuff as well. So it's now also running Rust as well. So we've actually, for the next version, Sarah, who is the person who I developed this with, I wonder if he's actually available for a second. I'm going to give him a quick call. It's just going to get a surprise call just out of the blue. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we'll soon see. I'm giving him a call on Discord right this second. I know he's green, so he may be available. I don't actually know if he's going to answer. I'm going to see if this works. I'm kind of nudging him on to say hi. Right, I'm going to leave that open. He might answer us. Hang about. Okay, that's fine. He's going to just grab his headphones and probably do everything else like that. Yes, that's the right keyboard layout. Skip, I don't add a second keyboard layout. We'll leave you as it is. So hopefully in a couple of seconds we'll get to hear from Sarah as well, who'll be able to explain the background of how UniFly works in the background. So we now have two separate clients. Technically the client works and it connects to our interface that we created, and our whole network protocol, which then interacts with the server, which then basically deploys messages, chat messages, and where your location is on the UniFly map. Speaking of which, the UniFly map is a little fun thing. Seeing as we just moved over, I need to actually change this over, because we're now technically on map V2, but I think map V2 has now been changed to map. I don't actually know.
Hello.
You have changed it. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I wonder if that's actually been changed, because I haven't done anything about that. You kind of announced it going live over the weekend. Yeah, you're currently live on my stream. So, you kind of gather that by the word on stream, answer and say hi.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, no, I'm on stream. We've just been doing some Lincolnshire roleplay. My PC crashed, and I'm like, we might as well talk about UniFly. I want to try and build up hype again.
Yes.
But at the same time, we need to build up hype. I'm so glad you put the message out, because also I have a feeling that also means that a certain someone might be also happy that we're doing this as well.
Yes, hopefully.
Let's talk about UniFly, a cross-sim multiplayer platform. So if you're happy, how long have you got? Have you got about half an hour or so?
I guess so, yeah. What are we doing?
I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do is, if you want, let's go ahead. I'm going to do an announcement onto UniFly Discord, onto the UniFly Discord, with a link to my Discord, with a link to this, because I want to explain to people why things have taken so long, and I want to basically, explain what's happening in the background, what the new beta is all about, and go with that. Are you happy with that?
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
You have a lot of that knowledge for the previous couple of weeks, and why, working together it's been fun, but also during Visual Studio, we know what the issues is, especially with GitHub. You're working on the same project at the same time. Doesn't really work.
It's a bit crowded.
So what I'll do is I'm going to do an out of one. I'm currently speaking to @Zero live on Twitch about UniFly V2. Come say hi and ask questions. And I'll put a link to the thing. We're going to send it out. It's going out to 100 people, which is lovely. There's 100 plus people on the Discord. I had no idea about that. Whoops. So I'll put that message out. I've published it out, so maybe it might go out to the other Discords as well.
Oh yeah.
And then we can have a bit of a chat. Yeah, I don't know how well it's going to go, but fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
What I want to do is just have a chat with you about UniFly, about how things, where things have gone, where we were a couple of weeks ago. I'll let you compose yourself and have some ideas and thoughts. Where we were a couple of weeks ago, why did we start version 2? What was the reason for it? Why version 2 has now come out in beta earlier than we were expecting, and why some features are not currently available. And then what our plans are in regards to development to try and get this out as much as we possibly can do. I'm also planning on doing some development streams in the near future as well. So if people want to see my side of the coding, why I've not been available, I'll also explain that as well, and we'll go through that. I see 6 people are now watching, so we have got some new people in. Welcome in. I've just been doing a live stream about GTA 5 and the stuff that I normally do, but we're going to go into
I got
LRP.
a new follower.
Thank you very much for following, Sarah.
I think I was in the YouTube. I used to watch these on YouTube, and now.
Oh, you used to watch them on YouTube. Nice to see you. Too many caps. You received a moderation strike. My bot is an absolutely lovely thing, apart from the fact it's not. The bot likes to be a little bit over conscientious with the moderation, so I'm going to deny applying strikes because it doesn't seem to like it properly, if that makes sense. So I'm going to try and disable the apply strikes and stuff. Don't worry about because even the reset strikes don't work. But welcome in, Flying Noodles. Welcome into the people who yeah, it's all part of the fun. So welcome in. If you guys are watching, I'm currently talking to Sarah.
Hello.
This has kind of come out of the blue. Sarah had no idea this was going to happen today.
Nope.
But I kind of went, hey, Sarah, I want to talk about UniFly. Do you want to talk with me? And, you kind of didn't get an option in the matter. So first of all, would you like to join me? You don't mind?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go into a couple of categories, and then we'll see exactly. We'll go into categories in different questions, and then we'll go from there. So let's start off with where we've come from. In fact, we might as well start off with a backstory about how UniFly came to be, just for the people who have no idea what UniFly is, and then we'll go into what UniFly V1 was, and now what UniFly V2 is going to be. We'll go through that type of process. So for those people who have not joined us, this also gives some people some time to watch it as well. So basically, UniFly came about because there was a lot of people who wanted to play multiplayer flight sims that was on the Virgin Excel group, that was playing different things, that just basically wanted to interact with other people while flying in their flight simulators. I have a joystick and everything else. I sometimes do flight sims, but it's rare. And I'm definitely going to say rare, because if I don't, Deathhound is going to probably kill me.
Yeah,
because
Rare's the right
I
word.
think everyone's going to probably agree with me on that one. It's rare. So basically, the idea was that we were using this software. It was known as JFS. I'm not going to go any further into what JFS technically is because it's not technically. I'm not going to bad discriminate against things, but I basically went in to say, "Hey, I would like to help you develop the next version to see what happens." The Let's See UniFly. That will make sense. That's much better. I like that option. But basically, I went into the thing and I said, "Hey, I'd like to help you out with the next version of this." Of this. So they said, "Yeah, absolutely fine. We'll start developing it." As soon as I started developing it and getting to a stage where it's basically, to a point where things are starting to work, they went, "Oh, we don't want that. We don't want that feature. We don't want that feature. We don't want that feature." And it started going to the point that there was a lot of arguments between me and them. So very nicely, I went, "In all honesty, I put in all the code and effort in here. Thank you very much for your time. I'm out of here." I left at that point, and then friend of mine, Adam, decided to pipe up and say, "Well, why don't we create our own one?" And I don't know when you actually joined on, Sarah.
A couple months later, it was a bit random.
Yeah, it was a bit random.
It was a bit random, but it good. I like it. So yeah, I think it was a few months on, and a lot of the work was done.
Yeah, this was April last year. Just going to point this out. This was April last year. We've not even been a year in UniFly yet. So in April last year, we got the domain for unifly.gg. We've got all different things happening just to see if we can get to the stage where, people can be happy with how UniFly would work and, a prototype or something. And it worked out quite well. The idea was that the multiplayer connectivity was our primary goal, and it still is our primary goal. As things have gone by, we've tried to add extra features, and we'll get into this in a bit, but some features have decided to play up and not work properly, which is what we're trying to work on to these days. So over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see some coding streams as well as non-coding streams, such as gaming streams, when I decide to have a bit more of a relaxed, cool-down type thing. So if you see me doing a coding stream, I'll probably be doing UniFly, so that's what I'm doing. And then basically we got off UniFly V1. Sarah, do you want to take it away about UniFly V1? What UniFly V1 basically became?
So I'm sure most people have used it if they're here now. So it was a multiplayer client and it worked. It was a bit rough around the edges, but it did work. And over, I don't know how long, 6 months of development, it got a bit. We kept piling things on, and it got a bit shabby, I think, towards the end.
Yeah.
So, and also we took a couple breaks from developing, and it got into a pretty poor state.
We got into a state where basically once we developed UniFly, we finally got the release out, and I think both me and you went, and we took a break.
Yes.
I think that was the answer. Unfortunately, in that break, code does code stuff, and inevitably it breaks. Don't know the reason why it breaks. Don't know what's happening. It just breaks. It's computers. Yeah. It's why I fix computers for a living. It's what I do. So then, basically, there was a request that came in that someone said they wanted to have X-Plane support, which we were like, yeah, that's fine. We'll get X-Plane support going. But it was going to be a later version in the thing. It was in our roadmap. I think if I bring up the roadmap,
it's been in our roadmap.
Understatement. It was. In the end, it turned into, I think it was a 2-month break. So it was quite a long break in itself. And then the server, then UniFly kind of crashed. And I think that's as far as it went. But the whole idea was that we wanted to have different things going through. And we wanted to have interpolating with X-Plane, flight tracking, and logging to log all flights that happen on UniFly and everything else going through. And we got to quite a good location, in all honesty. Things were starting to work. We had a chat system working. It was using IRC in the background. People never knew it was using an IRC network, but it was. There was tons of different things that we brought in. But unfortunately, X-Plane still isn't fully there yet. It's close to being done, but there's a lot of code going in. Sero, you've been doing the
Yes.
Synconnect and X-Plane interfaces in V2.
So
So why don't we start off with V2, what you've now started doing?
so before Christmas, I guess it was mid-December. I was finished with school for the year, or yeah. So
Yeah.
so I had a lot of time. So I took a look at UniFly, and we realised it's in a pitiful state. So development begins. Initially, we're just looking into X-Plane and sort of smoothing the edges, but it becomes quite clear that more work needs to be done. So the focus shifted. We started rewriting the multiplayer. I think was one of the first steps.
Yeah. Rewriting the multiplayer was the first step.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once we looked into reworking the reworking the multiplayer, we realised our current method of working, the current network idea, wasn't working. And you have become, from someone who I don't think knew Rust in the first place, to now know Rust like the back of your hand.
So
unfortunately, I'm nowhere near that level.
We swapped programming languages. So Rust is the name of the new programming language, and yeah, UniFly is how I basically learned it. But I love the language, and I appreciate that I had the opportunity to learn it through UniFly. But we swapped programming languages. Rust is by design a lot safer, a lot faster, and a lot more reliable. The website's up, so you can. Those are the core kind of concepts. Yeah. It's a very nice language, but for UniFly it's great because it's everything you need in something like a network or a multiplayer, where you need reliability and performance.
Yeah.
The other thing is the V1 pilot had huge performance problems.
Yeah. Massive when it comes to performance problems. We did a couple of test flights. These test flights worked out quite well, but one of the major issues that came up over the months and weeks, and even on the beta, this wasn't even in the previous beta, there was a implication where it would crash people's flight simulators, to the fact that even it would start crashing PCs. Now, we were trying our best to try and diagnose what this issue was. It wasn't crashing everyone's PC. That was the key thing. When you come to develop, there's different levels of trying to answer why this works, what happens here, what happens there. And unfortunately, if it doesn't affect every single person on repeat with a certain thing, it becomes a lot harder to diagnose and find an answer for why things aren't working. And I wish, in all honesty, I wish it did happen to me, because then I could use my logs. We could use that we knew. Being, just me and you having access to a Discord, having access to a machine where it would crash constantly, it would allow us to find out what actually caused it. Do you even know what caused it?
All I suspect is that we were single threaded, and as we kept piling on features, it just got, I think, more and more performance problems. I think that's my best guess. I had no idea.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the more and more performance, the more hardcore PC or stronger PC that you're going to need to run the app. And unfortunately, one of our requirements is that we try to make it built for every single client and every single PC, including FS. If it runs FS 2004, which is, a version back in 2004, 20 years ago, then it should run UniFly. And unfortunately, I don't think that was the case, in all honesty. So, yeah, we overrammed it with stuff. Good job, chaps. Yeah, basically. That's inevitably what happened. Now, during that time, we also had a flight tracking system. It's all available through the Crew Center, which I will go ahead and log into the Crew Center now, just so I can show you guys what the Crew Center looks like if you haven't seen it. To request to register for Crew Center, you have to go through the client, which currently is not available at the moment. I don't think you've got that form re-enabled. So that will be coming back in soon as well. If you've not registered for Crew Center, don't worry, you're not missing out on any features, because half the features that were running through it are no longer active at the moment. So basically, this is the Crew Center. Last time I connected to UniFly, I was connected to A to B flight sim, probably for a group flight or something like this. but it will show like flights here. You have a profile list where you get to see everyone's flights. So this map here will show all the flights I did while using UniFly. If I was to look, for example, at Tom's flight stuff, if I was to look at Tom's logbook, I think I would cry just because of the amount of things that are in there, if that makes sense.
Josh is here.
Yeah, nice to see you, Josh. Now, there is things that we want to try and do and get done, through the main thing. And one of the things that we want to try and do is advertise out UniFly. Things that we'd like to see is if people would like to help us out with marketing and doing this, like to see you join the UniFly Discord first of all. I believe there is no more link into the thing. I haven't got it set up again. So give me 1 second. I'll create an invite link that will be available for a couple of days.
Is it not on discord.unifly.gg?
It probably is discord.unifly.gg, but I might as well put it into chat as well for those people who haven't seen it. So I'll put this in there for you guys as well, in case you haven't joined the UniFly Discord to find out what it is. But basically, if you would like to help out, advertise UniFly, if you're good at marketing and understanding how to advertise something out, get in contact. And not only get in contact, please stick with us and try and help us even through the grim days, shall we say. I think is probably the word for it. Because unfortunately, some things have happened over the period that I'm not been happy with. Sarah, you've not been happy with at all, have you? With some things, the way things were running. We had a long old conversation outside of Discord and outside of chats and written chats. So we'll keep them into those things. But basically, some things weren't happy how we like them, if that makes sense. Right, I can finally shut down that screen from my left-hand side. So basically, UniFly is a way that we created everything, and now we've basically got to the stage where we started rewriting. You started in the Rust sim code. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Lockdown 345 is in the chat right this second. If he isn't, then he's missing out on something and understanding why I have not been actively involved in the UniFly project for the last couple of months. Sarah, let's talk about the development process with Visual Studio and why we can't do two things at once.
So, okay, working on code, it's like a file of text, and working on the same text at the same time with two people sat at different computers is just difficult. So, and especially when look at it, right? You have to coordinate what you're both doing so that, you're going down the same track. It's just not easy.
Yeah. Basically, when the reason why I haven't touched UniFly up until only recently was because I've been waiting on Sero to be to the stage where he is now basically finished with the code that he's working on, and I can safely go in without mucking up something that he's done. Because if, for example, he didn't save and commit a code to GitHub, which is where we have all our code sent over to, it's not a public repository, unfortunately, but you'll get to see some of the code anyway from the background just by watching the development scripts if ever you want to see them. But the whole idea is that it goes over to GitHub, and then we pull our latest changes, you pull your latest changes, and everything comes in. In all honesty, I probably haven't even pulled your latest changes before I've opened up GitHub. I've only just opened it up, and there we go, I've got some changes just come in. So things have already changed. I think you changed the project name to default. All the things have all changed everywhere else. You changed the installer. Because I got, by the way, just to let you know, I did the update from UniFly. I hadn't opened up the UniFly beta at all on my PC apart from through the code. And I've just opened up UniFly and just instantly updated to the new version. So it has gone across nicely.
Yeah, that's...
Just to give you a bit of peace of mind, that did work.
Good. It took me about 5 attempts.
Yeah, the good news is it works. Cool. But the whole idea is that if we're changing one piece of code, we can't then change another piece of code, and we can't then fix something else to do to basically do multiple things all at once. And if, for example, Sarah was to create a line of code into, let's say, the back end, that one single back end line of code, if he didn't save it and push it up to GitHub, or for example, maybe he's still working on, maybe it's not working, so he doesn't want to push it just yet, and then I was to start working on that same file and then do something else, maybe somewhere completely different, not working on that exact same paragraph, it will then cause what's known as a conflict. And sorting out conflicts, we've done this once in the past, and I think both of us were swearing at GitHub for a good 5 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not
because you
intuitive.
literally have to copy every single line of code to try and work out what the conflict is and try and resolve that thing. So, in all honesty, I think the best option was for me to take a break from fully touching UniFly code and fully touching UniFly projects until it was stable enough for Sarah to say, right, majority of the stuff that I need to do is now done. We've now got a basically working client, which I've been waiting for. So where the beta's now come out, it now means I can now jump in and start doing the front end code. So before it released, I had a development day where I sat down, just had a look at the whole code and see what was going on. I had to learn the whole code from scratch and know exactly what his code did, which thankfully is not too hard in Visual Basics. All I know is that it interfaces with a DLL file, which is coded in Rust. And basically anything goes through the Rust, goes through the server and whatnot. Makes it easier. So once this is now done, I've been able to go in there and I've been able to go, right, let's disable certain sections of the code. We have a new file that I created called call to home, which basically calls the UniFly server and goes, is this feature available? If not, we disable it. Currently, that is not actually running directly to the server because the API ends are not fixed yet. I still need to complete the API ends on that one to then come back down because I'm going to recode the whole of the API interface on the UniFly web server type thing. Because if I don't do that, we're going to be using some of the old code and some of the new code, and it will just become an utter mess. I'll give you a clue. The features file, I think, was over 1 megabyte in size for the functions file, if you seem to remember rightly.
Form.
Yeah, functions was over 1 megabyte.
Oh,
it had over 20,000 lines of code running multiple functions that will run the whole of the UniFly, and that's still technically in use today. So the whole idea is that I'm going to start separating certain things out. I've got to sit down and spend about 4 hours on each section of the code, from the website to the crew center to the client to the admin system to everything else. Just try and get everything linked but working together, if that makes sense. So that way, if something was to go wrong, we can start nailing down to one single file. While it was helpful having it in one file, of course, when you run lines of code, the more lines of code it has to skip through, the longer it takes to do it. It's common sense, unfortunately. And, you know, I would like to try and split it apart. So there's a lot of stuff in the back end that, unfortunately, Sarah doesn't know. Sarah, you know Rust language, and you've learned a lot of VB. I'm just going to say you've learned a lot of VB language, haven't you, and understanding it.
Since last
and also
year.
understanding certain SimConnect error messages, which we
Oh,
can't
jeez.
stand. Error message 22, I think, was one of our dreaded words.
SimConnect is something.
Yeah, SimConnect, their documentation is, how can I put it, on the nicest kind of things? I can't. I think it's the kindest way of putting it. I can't actually say anything nice about it because there is no documentation on how to fix certain things. You have to trial and error it to fix it. So when someone comes in with, for example, a support ticket into UniFly and says, hey, I want to fix, you've got this bug, I want to have this fixed. And then 2 minutes later, people will say, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. Or the VXL name, fix it, Eddie. I'm sorry, I can't stand that, because as I'm trying to learn the code and understand what the code is and try and fix the error, it just, it's too much. So that's why it takes a long time for some support tickets to be closed, some support tickets to have a response, and even sometimes for a whole development cycle to go through before we're finally able to go, here's your bug fixed, such as this crashing, if that makes sense. Because it's a lot more in depth into the back end. So while I've not been available, I've been setting up, Lincolnshire Roleplay, which is what we were playing earlier, which is a GTA 5 server. That server is now basically ready to use. There's a couple of bugs here and there we found out today, but majority of them seem to be working fine. There's a couple of other issues as well that we've managed to fix. And also, I've got my own business that I run 9 till 6 Monday to Friday. I finally close on weekends because I can't do weekends, apart from the fact I sometimes go out for call-outs. Just depends on the customers. So not only that, I've got my own business that I'm currently working on. Lincolnshire Roleplay has taken a bit of priority while Sarah's been doing his things. Thankfully, it's just come into this consideration where Lincolnshire Roleplay is now able for me to just go in, have some fun, log out at the end of the day without having to go, why is this not working? If that makes sense. Same with UniFly. So now that's gone, I can now re-jump onto UniFly and start working on different projects. So while there was a message in the staff area, Sarah, if you remember this message, don't you, from a certain person, shall we say? You're worried about the lack of enthusiasm for this project. Some very close words, I think, was the words that were coming through. The reason for that is because of the reason we've just explained, where it takes a while to code certain things. If I was to start going into the code earlier and muck up half the code, it would take us 4 months longer than it would do for Sarah to jump on and get his bit out ready for now. As in, we probably wouldn't be ready until January next year for a beta. So there's a big time difference in regards to that. So yes, me being away has had to be that way, but we've now gone into a different method to try and fix certain things. And of course, I have been piping in, I've been listening in, I have been watching the UniFly Discord like no tomorrow. I just haven't been actively committing to the GitHub. I've not actively been communicating in the things. I've just been taking a back step to just understand what's happening before I can go in there and go, right, this needs to go. Does that make sense, Zero?
Yeah, it's a case of I got to finish, and then now it's a case of me waiting really for.
Yeah, so now you've done your finish. It's now my point to jump on and see if I can do some API stuff. There's probably still some stuff that you can do. So the simple thing for those fixes are, if for example there's something you want to work on, just let me know the files you're going to be working on. I'll mark them down inside a notepad so I don't touch them. But when you're actively developing something from the ground up, which is exactly what UniFly V2 is, I don't think any of the code has been used apart from a little bit, in all honesty. Do you?
Sorry, what's...
In UniFly V2, has any of the previous code been used for UniFly?
Oh, no.
From UniFly V1?
It's a complete rewrite as far as SimConnect and multiplayer is concerned, and even the Visual Basic stuff, I think, is completely different.
Yep. And that's the whole point. So me going in and changing certain lines of code without, understanding what certain things do would not benefit anyone.
Just the different design choices we've taken this time around, they're not set in stone until they're set in stone, which was yesterday when we released.
Yeah.
I could have gone and said, oh, we're going to use a different network protocol, and then suddenly all of Eddie's work could have been worthless.
Null and void.
Yeah.
Completely null and void. So we still have there. Do you want to explain how I've done a lot of talking, and I don't really want to do that all the time? Do you want to explain what the network protocol system is like? Because no one's going to get to see that code. That is your code. I don't even I don't even see it. I've got access to the GitHub to read the code if I really wanted to. But do you want to explain what happens in the background and go from there?
In V1, we were using the HTTP protocol, which is the same thing which is used for websites. So immediately that's like a red flag. That's not suitable. And it wasn't. It was just a case of getting it to work back then, and we did that. Now it's more of a refining it. So we've moved over to the UDP protocol, which is a lot of technical. I don't know, but it's basically directly between the server and the client, sending messages both ways, which HTTP could only do one way, which was a whole can of worms. Both ways.
Use a datagram protocol.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yes. It's very good. It's very low level. We control the binary that is sent over the network, which is much better, much lighter on the network. And we control how frequently messages are sent so that we don't flood the network. We have a lot more control effectively. It's much better. It's designed for multiplayer networks. So that's what we've gone with. I don't think there's much more to say. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the front end, you will get to now start seeing the code that I do. But if you want to recreate UniFly yourself, you've got to kind of get it out of Sarah, and Sarah's got it locked up in here. I think is the answer. The code will always be private. It's a closed source thing, but it's a free software. The thing is, it's free. So, of course, while developing UniFly is going to be a project for me to focus on, it's not my number one project. My number one project is my business. And there's nothing I can do. I'll get my coat and go have words with Sarah then, says Death Hound.
Oh no. Oh dear.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm sure you'll be fine. Oh wait, he knows your address now, doesn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah. So basically, the whole idea now is we now go through different stages. So while UniFly is a project that I'm working on, it's not my number one project. My number one project is my business. So Monday to Friday, 9 till 6. If I'm sitting here, I'm most likely doing my business stuff. I need to work on the business. I need to get the business going and get customers and all that shebang. Don't mention tax because that's going to come out next year. I've got to start doing next year's tax. This year's tax is only just coming to an end. If you haven't done submit your tax, do it now. You've only got a couple of days left. Sorry, business head gone on to brain. So while UniFly is a project, it's moved from my third project to now my second project. So business is 1, UniFly's 2, Lincolnshire Roleplay's 3. So Lincolnshire Roleplay's now going to start taking a step back while it's stable, and I will start working on UniFly to start getting the next thing going. So while things are going, that's just going to be close. I've just snoozed the ad for you guys, so you don't have to watch an ad. You'll be pleased about that.
Yay.
So basically, in regards to what we're going to be working on next, so what I'm also going to talk about now is why certain features weren't working in the previous situation. So one of the previous situation that we had was UniFly had an issue with flight tracking. Now, Deathhound and Adam, you both know what it's like. You've seen the back end of the city, where the back end of the server where we get notifications to say there's been an error with the flight. Every flight has also pinged our Discord, so we know exactly what's happened. Basically, our Discord kind of gets all the notifications in one ping. So you know how frequently some things don't work. You know how certain things don't work. Now, the way that UniFly v1 was working is the server would not only handle just the network and go from different things and handle this transferring of data, it would also handle grabbing information from your flight, such as if you're just starting a flight, it's going to go, oh, you've just started this flight. And I'm going to go, right, I've got to grab that information, put it into the database. I've then got to add the positions, and then I've got to try and detect when you finish your flight before you disconnect from the network. And in all honesty, it was okay. It worked for a while and it stopped. I don't know what stopped it. All of a sudden, the logging of flights just stopped. So the plan for V2 is it's now going to be taking a place from the client side. So inside the client, I'll bring this back up in a second onto screen so you guys can see it, because I will show you what we've started working on as well. Once again, I've got the issue. This is okay. It opened up. I've got the designer. I had an issue the other day where VB design didn't work, and
gosh.
I spent 4 hours trying to work out why I couldn't view the graphical interface of UniFly. So not only is when we're coding UniFly, we've got all these issues of me and Sarah having issues. Do you want to just go through all the things that went wrong with, Visual Basics and why Visual Studio is a lovely piece of software? Absolutely not.
Yes. Well, yeah. It's not. It's like surprisingly crap, actually. It's like, yeah, we had problems with the UI designer. We upgraded to .NET 8 for the V2, which is, who knows what that means? I don't.
No,
apparently Microsoft do.
All I know is that with V2, I had to download a new version of the SDK, which is the programming language for the background when you're programming a software, to try and understand it. Otherwise, I couldn't see the user interface.
All I know is when we did that, it broke everything.
Yep, it broke
and then
everything.
Had numerous problems with forms just stopping. and then we had to
Yeah.
make a new form, copy the whole UI over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been issues. All I'm going to say is you put T-Forge, you will know this because it's the same with Links Your Roleplay. You place a dot, comma, space, or any other special character in any part of the form that it's not thought it's meant to be, it will crash that form completely. And if you could be typing a whole big bunch of code and that will just completely brick everything. So really thankful that GitHub allows you to revert back to a previous change, but if you've just spent 4 hours working on a piece of code and it wasn't, and then it stopped working, you've then lost 4 hours worth of work.
Just because.
Yeah, so I love it perfectly. The coding side, it looks lovely. It's nice and colourful, but it doesn't show you errors. The only way you find an error is when you click that run button to say, hey, I want to run this version. So if I was to click this, it would at this point here say, here's an error that you encountered. I've currently got, it's not running as admin. Lovely. I've got to restart UniFly I've got to restart Visual Basics to get that running as admin. But basically the whole thing happens where it goes, one line of code will muck up the whole thing. So if ever you hear me during a stream, and Tom and everyone else who has watched, who's been in Discord calls while I've been coding, knows full well what those are like. While coding completely de-stresses me, when coding and the program we're using decides to play silly buggers and not, have the correct line of code or something not work, that's when I get a little bit heated. So you've got that to look forward to at some point. So let's talk about the user interface and how the flight plans are going to work. Yeah, de-stresses. So this is what the new flight plan form will look like. Currently, you will see the aircraft, you'll see all this as per usual in the current client, but you won't see this new button, which is submit flight. So when you first connect to the network, do you want to go through the red, orange, and green stages of connecting to the network, Sarah?
So when you connect, the button will remain. You're connected, and people will see you, but the button will remain orange until you file a flight plan. Because in order for us to model match you, we need a flight plan. So it's sensible not to consider you connected until you've got a flight plan in. So it's absolutely essential.
So it'll mark you as orange to say you're not there, if that makes sense. Once you've got the flight plan, it will there. Does it disconnect you and reconnect you just to, update the models for everyone else?
So it'll respawn you to match you, but your connection stays. You just file a flight plan and it goes green.
So it'll respawn you for everyone else. Everyone else will start seeing what your thing is. So that's a lot more advanced than what the previous one was, which was you had to file it first and then connect. So now you connect, you press the red button, that'll then turn orange, file your flight plan, and then it'll go green. When it turns green and you filed your flight plan, as long as the flight tracking feature is on, that's when it will send a ping over to our server to say, you have just started a flight. And that will be it. That will be the only connection the server will get from your client, just to say you've started a flight from here to here with your flight details, with your route, your alternate, your ICAOs and everything else like that, and what type of aircraft you're flying. So all the previous information from the logbooks are still there. Once that's happened, the server will periodically check, see if there's any flights, all the flights active, and see if there's a flight in the database. If there is, it will add a position log to that thing. That's when it will do the. Unfortunately, position logs has to be done on the server it runs by cron job, which cron jobs I hate with a passion, but I love them with another passion. Maybe tell them to create a flight plan before firing up UniFly, then, as that bugs the hell out of me, says Deathhound.
Yeah, I think most people have a flight plan. They just forget to press the button because who flies without SimBrief nowadays?
Yeah,
I think the orange.
The fetch from SimBrief is. It's a brilliant button. You click that. You click connect. You click fetch from SimBrief. You got your stuff. If I open up the UniFly client, I haven't got SimBrief open, so I'll just have a look, see what this actually looks like. This is the program itself in its current state. So you'll click red to connect. I'm not actually connected to anything, so I need to do all that. But I click fetch from SimBrief. Currently doesn't know my SimBrief UIs or ID, but all you do is you go into your system settings, go to the SimBrief username, put that in there, and then it'll fetch your latest flight plan from there. If it's empty or doesn't know there's a flight plan, then it's probably because you not actually generate it correctly, if that makes sense. But you can do manual flight plans in here as well. So the idea is that you can do both. So as soon as you've connected and you've got your flight plan, your connection goes green, it sends a message over. As soon as it goes green, it will send a message over to our API to say, you started a flight, here's your details. At that point, your flight will be classed as in the pending state. If you want to check this when this is live, you'll be able to see your current flight in progress on the UniFly Crew Center. There'll be a new tab which says current flight in progress. That's how you know that you've currently got a flight active and that it's tracking it. So if you're concerned that your flight needs to be tracked all this time, check that it's in there. It will show your current flight in progress. If there's no flight, it will just come up with the red box saying no flight currently in progress. That's how it's going to work. Once you come to the end of your flight, the submit button here will finally appear. Once you've landed and you've got within a certain speed, I believe the speed previously was like 15 knots, and you're within a certain 1 nautical mile or 2 nautical miles of the airport, 50 knots, and you're on the ground. It's the basic type of thing, like within a certain number of feet from the ground. Once those criteria are matched, the submit flight button will become available. Once you're ready, you just click that submit flight. That will stop all logging completely from that flight, and that's your flight submitted. You'll get a confirmation to say your flight has been submitted. That's it, done. Right, question for you. What about those that manually log a flight through and it requires staff to accept the flight? If it's true or not, how many backlogs are you going to get? If people are doing them now, it will be basically they'll go into the queue for it to be done. I believe you did the last one that came in, but they all get alerted through to Discord if there's something there. So the backlog should be working. Once the automated system is back live again, you'll just click submit flight, and that's it. Your flight will be done. So you'll be able to get all your hours and everything else done, but you can still do the things. But those manually log a flight, and it requires every single time you manually log a flight, it requires the staff to verify that you've actually done that flight. So there is someone who is on the team, Deathhound. You've just been added to the team to actually do it. Yes, I did. But issue is that the flight is now stuck in pending despite accepting it. I will double check that for you. I'll make sure things are working. If it's still stuck in pending when you do it, Deathhound, because Deathhound is actually the one who's doing it, because he will be on the UniFly network probably 99% of the time. So he will see that you're live or you're in the flight. If not, just take a screenshot of you taking off, or a screenshot of you landing and in the air, that type of thing. So that way you got proof if ever we ask for proof. That way we can see what's happening. But basically the idea is that every manual flight has to be done, but otherwise it'll get all the position logs, because otherwise there's no position logs for manual flights. But if there is any issues, Deathhound, send me a message to say, or actually don't send me a message, open a ticket. I don't want the thing that annoyed us, and Sarah, it annoyed you as well, didn't it? When people DM us about an issue.
Keeps one of us out of the loop always, and it's just
DMing one of us about an issue means one of the other person can't fix the issue, especially if they can fix an issue previously. Sarah, unfortunately, not knowledgeable fully in PHP and all that stuff, which is what the site's coded in. But at the same time, it could be an issue that you could fix or I could fix at different stages. So open a ticket. Every single issue you have, open a ticket. One of us will respond and probably ask you for either logs or something else like that. If, for example, it's a bug report, little key thing here, it does say, have you got the latest log?
Yes.
Do yourself a favour, please attach those logs. They're all available. We've always given the option to be able to go into the data. So if ever you want to do it, it's basically, simple answer, go to your browser, %app data, and then you want to go to UniFly logs, and you've got your client logs and everything else from there, and you've got your symlib logs as well. Those symlib logs are exactly what's required for Cero to fix connectivity issues and issues between client and PC. If it says please log a symlib ticket, then please make sure you copy that file that says that date and that time, so you can see what's happening.
Without the log files, I know nothing, because the error messages do not give me an ounce of anything. just
Yeah.
because it's a DLL now. So the meters are important.
Yeah. So this will show you initialized logging. This will show so in the thing it will show everything that's happening, and it's the same with the client as well. If there's a client issue, you'll see the previous UniFly client logs. I'll open up this one actually. That might be better. And these have different timestamps. They have different levels as well, like info. If you get a warning or an error message, they're automatically added to this log file as well. So if you've accidentally closed down an error and you can't remember what that is, it will be in that log file. Carpe, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Hey.
But basically the idea is if you need to do if there's any type of issues or any type of situation that's happening, please make sure you go ahead and you copy the log files. Preferably you want to copy the client log that's here, the current log that's currently in use. You want to go into SimLib folder and you want to copy the current file that's of today's date. Without that information, Sarah and me can't go ahead and diagnose what your issue is. If we close, it might come to the stage, Sarah, that you will probably get to the point that you'll be like, there's no log file, this ticket's now closed. Please reopen with logs.
Yeah.
And that may become the case. If we don't get logs within an hour or two of that ticket being opened, that ticket will probably get closed. It's just because there's probably other tickets in the queue that need priority. We'll close your ticket, resend them with the logs. Then once you've got the logs and we've got everything we need, we'll let you know that's everything we need. We'll get back to you in this ticket. No, this isn't LRP. This is UniFly. This is a completely different app. UniFly is a cross-sim multiplayer platform for flight sim, but it's not an LRP overhaul. That will be once I finish with UniFly, then LRP will start taking over the overhaul for the next version. I'll get another version out and try and do an overhaul for that. So basically, LRP is stable enough that it can run. Just needs people actually active in the city. So if you do want to join LRP, a GTA 5 5M server, then you can do if you want to. Be lovely to see you. There's the information about how to join as well.
Eddie, maybe we could discuss the immediate roadmap for UniFly V2 because we've dropped a whole load of features.
Yep. So we'll just start off with the features currently on. So as you can see in the background, the features are still there that you're used to, such as the hub list, the client list, and all the hop lists and everything else. Now, Carpe, I'm glad you're in here because this is quite important for you. Hop lists are currently not implemented at the moment. There's actually no code in the background for them. So, Sarah, do you want to go through what your current roadmap that you need to get through done?
Yeah, so I've updated the task list, so I'll just read off of... Okay, so the long-term... immediately, I think flight tracking is our high priority, one of the highest, and then as well as hub selection, so it's not all global. At the moment... I think that's fine because no one's flying terribly much. After that, we've got Discord integration because that's gone. That won't be very difficult to re-add.
No.
The ATC client is completely gone. I was thinking maybe we could. I think I might overhaul the ATC client when I re-add it because the complaint was when you have multiple controllers, you can't interact as controllers, like send strips to either controller. And now with the new server structure, we can sort of port it over to the VATSIM protocol and maybe have that working. So that
and you can also implement the chat messages better. So
absolutely.
And what I will also do is when you open, there will also be an update in the overhaul that you'll be required to enter your iCal. So then we can start showing on the map, because this has also been a requested feature, that if an ATC is on, it will show on the map that ATC is on. So there's going to be a tower icon over the iCal of the location that you're in. It won't have a radius or anything around it for a while, but it will base it off there, if that makes sense. You'll have some sort of icon on the map to say you're currently live. You'll be able to click on it and get all the information about who's currently there and how you contact them as well, crucially. So there'll be different information, but that will come through closer to the time once the ATC client's all set up as well. So there's a lot more stuff in the background that needs to be done. It's a really full-featured application, but requires a ton of work to get it to the state where people will be going, this is a brilliant piece of software, I want to use it every single day again. Unfortunately, it's not that case. And it's not going to be the case that this is going to be an overnight job and it's going to get done by April, which is where we were planning to get it done by. But I think both me and you, Sarah, we both kind of understand that by April, it's not going to be ready for. I don't think we're going to be able to beta until some point in the summer.
Yeah,
I
think
you thought your process is
I
like that
agree.
as well.
Even in just stabilizing what we've got, it might take a long time just to do that. And additionally, explain support is something that we came into the year saying, hell yeah. But then we've decided to rewrite all of the existing SimConnect stuff, so explain has been pushed back again.
Yeah.
Eddie, we could do with updating some of the channels in the Discord that show what we've got. I think there's the features channel. We need to definitely revisit that.
We need to do that, yeah. So keep an eye on the Discord and we'll do some stuff on that as well. Make it a race between UniFly and TFDI's MD11. No. I think is the answer. The answer is no. I'm not racing to do anything. The main key element of this whole thing is that this is something that I think both me and Sarah need to point out, is that we are both volunteer developers in this project. So while I will try and donate as much time as I possibly can to it, I'm probably going to do like 2 streams a week maybe with it. I'm not going to officially say I'm doing 2 streams a week. Don't quote me on this. I will try my best to do 2 streams a week, maybe even 1 stream a week when I can for UniFly, and there'll be some streams as well where I do gaming. But you probably noticed my streaming schedule isn't fully there at the moment as well, because I have been rushed off the block. It's crazy how much I've been rushed off the block. And health-wise, I'm not in the best shape of health at the moment, so there's plenty of other reasons. All right. Do you want to go in anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so currently in the grand scheme of things, flight plans are working, your client list is working at the moment, and settings are also working as well. Are you ever in best health or shape? Yes, I have been. Leading up to Wednesday last week. Wednesday last week was when I went downhill, unfortunately. I'll have a chat with you afterwards if you want, but I won't do it on stream. While we're talking about UniFly, it makes no sense to do it there. So hubs will come back in at some point as well. Hoplist will come back in as well, because unfortunately there has been issues with certain things. We want to make things working. There are some features that I believe Carpe's asked for, which includes being able to insert hops at certain locations and doing different things. So right this second, your hop list current location where you are right this second is probably going to be where you are until hop lists are back. So I personally wouldn't do those flights for a while. To just put yourself on a pause for that. You've all done very well in where you are. But they will come back as soon as we possibly can, but it will be as and when the API protocol is being rewrote and everything else on my side of the server that works. Also, you'll notice that the chat's also been disabled. That's because we're no longer going to be using the IRC chat. That's going to be closed down in the next couple of. I need to close that off the server soon anyway. So we're no longer going to be using IRC chat. Sero,
yeah, chat's moving into the network that does the aircraft and everything else. So I think that'll. I don't know. I mean, the chat. Yeah.
The chat was good, but there was some security flaws in it. And IRC's 20 years old, 20, 30 years old.
I think it'll be better integrated in moderating it. Like when we kick someone from the multiplayer network, they're also gone from the chat.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. Which is basically what we want to have as well. Yes, staff of UniFly can kick anyone from the network at any point. Due to it could be even a bad nickname. That's also another thing we need to work on, is nickname approvals, because we have noticed some nicknames go onto UniFly that have been should we say not approved.
Yep,
I think that's probably the best way of saying it. We've looked at them and we've gone, really, you're going to put that name on there? Bear in mind that there are people who play Flight Simulator who are probably 13. So just think, would you like your 13-year-old to see that type of language? There's your answer. How about not British enough, like not enough tea? Yep, we'll go with that. Plenty of cups of teas are going to come up with this whole thing. So hopefully, by me having this conversation about UniFly, I'm going to try and clip this out and put this into a video as well onto the UniFly channel so people can watch this as well. Can also understand different things as well. Integrate some AI type thingy to detect some names and restrict some others. It basically will kind of like that. There'll be certain things that it will detect, but that's all still to come. It's, you know, far in the development process. I won't mind trying Flight Sim out, but I don't think my PC would handle it or have the space for it. It's about 20 gig, if I seem to remember, like last time I checked.
Which sim, though? It depends hugely.
Yeah, it depends hugely on what sim. That's the whole point about UniFly, is that it would match with every single person's sim. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, I could use that as well. There is a ton of information from there that I could use. Actually, I could send you that file, actually. Zero.
Sure.
There's a QB multi-character thing that has a restricted names list that I can literally just copy over a ton of restricted names that we can put in to a database.
Yes, yeah, we need to get on top of that.
Yeah. So there is a ton of things. So basically, the way we have it is we have a to-do list in our staff area. So as Sarah's going through, new client post, the old server used to post to an endpoint to report new client IDs. That's currently not there at the moment. So that's probably the first priority that we need to work on.
Yeah, is that high? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. In all honesty, I think that's more of an urgent.
Yeah. It occurred to me like quite randomly, and I'm glad it did.
Yep. So as and when someone joins the network currently, if they're brand new to the UniFly, they will not be logged in as a new client to the network, which makes it more fun. So as you can see, there's a whole ton of lists here, and the older posts are classed as old. They're still there. They're still in the task list because they may be brought forward for the new one. They haven't been discussed. We haven't discussed them and sat down and had a chat. What features are here?
Are there any suggestions in our suggestions?
Let's have a look.
I don't think there's anything huge in here.
Suggestions, sweatbox on your scope with UniFly.
I've no idea what. I haven't researched the details of that. That's way off in the distance.
Carpe, could you contact Alex A to B and ask him about what he means by make an option to spawn AI traffic with their flight plans for instructors to do so. So basically, AI.
If it's static traffic, then I can.
Yeah, it's basically static traffic that happens.
I think on the that's quite beyond the scope of UniFly though. So that'll probably be in there for a while.
Custom sim objects directory for sims like FSX, which would otherwise have just a single.
Yeah, that was just some guy asked me for that, and yeah, I think that's fair.
Yep. Live HC on map, which is what we plan to bring out. X-Plane support, which we're planning to bring out this year at some point. It will come out this year. You can hold us to that, but it will come out as and when things are available for that. Host specific stats that will come in once I've done everything to do with that as well, which you can see with the green approved that things are coming in. So we have a process that comes through that everything's done. ATC positions visible on the map. That's what I was just saying anyway. For some reason, there's 2 of these, so that can be deleted. Hot list management. I've seen your message, Carpe. The answer is yes, that will happen at some point. It's just going to be delayed. Center aircraft on map. There is an issue at the moment where when you click a flight, it's not currently centering you onto the map every single time you move. It will center you on the map for when you click on it, but not any further. I need to look into the background and probably sit with someone who understands Mapbox more than me, if that makes sense, to try and get that working. So I'm not going to prove that just yet until we know if that's actually capable, but hopefully it is. Euroscope and UniFly text integration. That probably will be more integrated actually when we have the chat message.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
So I'll approve that for now because we know that's going to come through. If you have any suggestions, either leave them in the chat right this second or head over to the UniFly Discord, which I believe I posted earlier, which should be that link there. And go into the suggestions channel and leave a suggestion for what you would like to see in UniFly. It will not always be approved. It will sometimes be rejected if it's outside of the scope of UniFly, if that makes sense. But the whole idea is that we try our best to make UniFly.
I think it's important to outline that UniFly isn't trying to be VATSIM or IVAO.
Yeah.
If you want ATC, that's where you should go for that. This is more of a group flight with your mates.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Basically, UniFly is kind of half replacing the client that shall not be named, but also with a couple of new features such as the flight tracking. Once the flight tracking has all come in, that's when once we've gone through that and we've got a bit more processing, I can step away from the front end of UniFly code again. Then I might start working on trying to work out like virtual airlines and stuff like that. That'll be an additional feature that will be completely separate to the client, so I don't have to worry too much about that, if that makes sense. Do you want to just talk about hubs and what hubs were, so people who weren't understanding what hubs are in UniFly?
So hubs, different communities could sort of own their own hub, and basically people in the hub could see people in the hub and not people outside of the hub. That was terribly English, but I think the point comes across. So that's not currently implemented at the moment. Everyone can see everyone, no matter which community you're from. We'll be re-implementing that soon. It's actually what I was working on yesterday.
Yeah. So does the crew center work at the moment? The answer is yes, it does work, but there isn't much available. Some of the automatic features aren't there. There might be some things where certain things go down over time, if that makes sense. So some pages might go offline. So just bear with, if a page goes offline, you see a red box saying this section is under development. That's because we're doing something that's happening. Now, Tom has done multiple flights. It's unbelievable how much he's done. Like, this is just... I've just clicked on a random flight. This is what we used to grab, like a latitude and longitude, altitude and ground speed and everything else, which is going to be a lot more synchronized and everything else. But unfortunately, the distance and time never used to also calculate half the time as well. You can't log in for whatsoever. Open a support ticket on UniFly, please, and send me your email address for logging into UniFly. Once I've got that one, I can then reset your password. We can just reset the password for that. So that's absolutely fine. If you forget your password, just open a ticket on Discord. I need to have your email address. I will then send you an email with your password just to confirm that was you, if that makes sense. I'm not just going to randomly set someone's password. Yep. UniFly support tickets are the way to go. If you DM us or if you message us directly, your message will be very delightfully ignored. Just going to point that out. I will ignore all DMs. I will go into... And also emails as well. Any emails that come through to me, they are very nicely ignored. They won't be really responded to. If you do get response, it'll be go onto Discord, open a support ticket. If you're lucky. Because that's the whole idea. Yes, we'll see about that. Yeah, no, I agree. It'll probably come from an email that's like no reply at unifly.gg, so we won't even be able to respond to it. I'll make sure it bounces back with, sorry, you send an email from no reply. You send an email to no reply, which means do not reply. You know, simple answer for that one. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Last couple of things. Anything else? Auto bug reports as well. That's also something we're going to bring back as well, isn't it? If I seem to remember rightly. Sarah? I think Sarah's just disappeared. Has he just disappeared on me? Yep, Sarah, you disappeared on me.
Sorry.
I love that. Because OBS likes to put me into streamer mode, I can't... I didn't hear you disconnect.
Oh. Yeah. Was there something for me to answer?
Yeah. No, one thing that will... What was it I was saying, guys? Because I completely forgotten. Brain has just gone... There's something that we need to add, and I can't remember what it is. Bugs. Automatic bug reports.
Oh,
that's it.
Yes.
So in the previous thing, when you got a critical bug, it would log a message to our crew center for us to look through. Those will still come back at some point. And what we'll try and do is I'm going to try and set up some. We're going to have a chat about this afterwards because I haven't talked to you about this, Sarah. But what I'm going to try and do is when there's an automatic bug report, or if you go into the client and you go to the system settings, and you click bug report, I want that to be able to send a message to Discord with an attachment, if that makes sense.
Yes, that sounds good.
So that way we get an attachment with the logs and everything else. So while you click that bug report button, it's going to do nothing at the moment. Just so you know, it does nothing. So there'll be certain things that will come back as and when things happen. But basically, that's how it's going to work. Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't think so. Just a lot of even just talking now, I think I've added like 4 maybe things to our list that the end user will never even know about, like bug reporting and just moderation.
Yeah,
it's just like it's a lot of work. So hopefully that gives more of an insight.
Yeah,
into that.
Whoever's, by the way, Noodles, just to let you know, the email you're logging into Crew Center does not exist in the database. Is what I'm getting on the error message on our side.
Are you mixing up the Virgin Excel dashboard and the UniFly one, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know.
But I'm seeing it sat in our error logs of everything coming through. I've got a ton of error logs in here showing me all different things that have happened over the past couple of days.
Brilliant.
Yeah, a ton of error bugs, because every single thing gets a bug report that sends over as well, so it's all different stuff. But yeah, do me a favour, open a support ticket and we'll go from there, and we'll support you with that. I will probably get a copy of this over. Yeah, I need your email address, please.
Also, Eddie, the new UI, we could talk about that, I don't know, briefly.
Yep. Do you want to talk about it?
I don't know what. Well, it's your area.
I was thinking you might want to talk about it. So currently, UniFly V2 looks very similar to V1. Currently, that will be the case until we've got things stable and things working with the features back again. Once the features are back, there will be a UI change and do different things. If you are part of the graphical team on UniFly, or you would like to be part of the graphical team on UniFly, things that I would like to see is if you have a look at the current UniFly client, look at the buttons. I want to have some images for those buttons. I rather not. There's too much text on UniFly at the moment. It looks very wordy when you look at it, very in your face type thing. So I want to be able to change that to now have some images that we place into the UniFly client, if that makes sense. So I need your help. Call to action for everyone else here. New UniFly logo. Yep. If someone wants to if anyone wants to design a new UniFly logo, please do not use AI. Please create something that is your own specific work. It'll be nice to see specific work on something like that. We'll do that as well. We'll probably create. Sarah, do you think might be an idea to create an event in the Discord for like a competition for UniFly V2 logo?
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Might be an idea to bring that in as well. So we'll have a chat with that over the next couple of days and decide what's going to happen. But something tells me we're going to come to the end of the stream. The ad break has just started, so I can't stop that now. So I'll wait for them to come back from ads. If you're watching on the VOD, there's ads. It goes on for about 1 minute 50 seconds. So yeah,
1 minute. Jeez.
Yeah, it used to be 3 minutes.
Christ. I'm not on it, so I'm watching the stream. I'm fine. I got lucky.
If you're watching the stream and you got no adverts, you're lucky. But you've got 1 minute left. If you are, you're not missing anything. We'll surprise you if they win. The 109th Fleet doesn't invade you. In all honesty, don't know. If anyone wants to donate something for a prize, then we can do something with that. But there'll be different things. Another thing that we'll probably bring out, I'll wait for the ad break to end as well for this as well. But Sarah, we want to bring in sort of maybe some premium features as well at some point, don't we?
Yeah, that would be nice for us.
Yeah. In the meantime, reset my password for me. I want to sleep. Thank you. I will have a look now, just see if you are on the list of things that happen. Give me 1 second to look in the crew center and see if I can see your user. Yep, I got yep. Let's generate a password. Gonna be. In all honesty, I know you too well. You created a thing. I will do it for you. We're chatting in here, so I'm not going to send you an email. That's your password. That's your password. That's all done. Okay, welcome back from the advert. Sorry, it just took you a little bit of time. A certain someone has already gotten enough out of me. Thank you. Yes, me and Sarah have got enough out of you, but that's appreciated. One thing that we might be doing soon is bring out some premium features to UniFly at some point. The reason for that is because it will help not just run the server costs, which Adam does run all the server costs and everything else. Big massive thank you to him for running the server for the last year. But the whole idea is that we have not only do we have server costs to run and everything else that runs in the background with that, we also have it would be nice to have a little bit of thanks for us as well. Yes, we run this as a voluntary basis, like me and Sarah do this voluntary, but it'll be nice to have some sort of how can I put it without being rude, Sarah? I'm saying commission or something like that.
I'm tuned out. Just something to show for it, maybe. I don't know. We enjoy doing it very much, but it would be nice.
It would be nice to have some sort of help with finances as well. Big man, yeah. Hey, with support with he has kept the finances. That is true. Big massive thank you to Adam for that as well. Appreciated with everything going on. Yes, I haven't been active in the thing, and we have pushed out release a lot earlier than what we were planning, in all honesty, for a beta. They were on private betas at first, weren't they? But it's now a public beta, which is kind of interesting.
Yes, thanks for the A2B guys for doing all the beta flights that we did. They were very helpful. Also, is Virgin XL's birthday coming up? Like random and side off? No, is that April? I think I don't know. Because that'll be a group flight.
Tom, do you know when that will be? That'll be probably the next big group flight that will go on as well. That'll probably run on UniFly.
It would be nice to test UniFly.
It'd be nice to test UniFly with the new code, because that's usually where we get in a group of about what is it last time?
Last year we had problems, so it'd be nice if this year it was
20 May June I think.
Okay.
May June type.
Still a while.
So still a while. Hopefully we'll be able to perfect a lot of things before then. If you spot any errors, spot any bugs, report them as soon as possible. Make sure you include your log files. Do what's needed, but ultimately enjoy UniFly. It's the grand scheme of things. Just to let people know, the UniFly documentation on the wiki is currently outdated. I need to log in there and just put a message up on the homepage. Documentation will be outdated until we get to a release stage when we can finally sit down and go through all the UniFly documentation. So everything's on there is outdated. If you need help, please contact us as well. I believe the installation guide is still similar though. I think. I don't know. We probably need to update that one guide.
Yeah, it just occurred to me we probably should update the installer executable as well. Yep. Is that yeah?
Yeah, no, we can do. I'll sit with you in a second. We'll do that now.
Okay.
We'll get the new installer working. So by tomorrow it should be working. Fingers crossed. Because there's certain files that need to go in certain locations for certain things to work. I love this.
Yes, and we have to discover which files because we'll have forgotten. Good fun.
Yep. Basically a ton of things. So, apart from that, I think we're coming to the end of said stream. Is there anything you want to talk about before we,
Don't think so. Just no.
Just hope
no
for
question.
The best.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I think. June.
Confirmed it is June. Okay, which is, it's perfectly honest. I'm happy it's June.
I think. Yes, agreed. I think we'll noodles
Like,
or
say
something.
one
But
more
I
thing.
think
Yep. What's the one more thing in noodles as well? Thank you and good night. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. What were you going to say?
God, it's gone. I'm sorry. Don't worry.
Good night, bro.
Yeah, it's a bit late now.
Okay, yeah, we're going to probably end off the stream anyway. So hopefully you guys look forward to that. Sarah, thank you very much for joining me at the spare of the moment type message. Say,
Yeah,
let's talk about UniFly. I'm sure it's going to be fun, but for now, I think it's time we say goodnight. If you guys have enjoyed it, do that. I don't know who I'm going to raid out to because it's Twitch. You know, I don't know who we're raiding out to. Anyone who someone wants to watch. I've got 9 people I watch right this second. Do we go back into 5M? Do we go into something else? Is anyone from UniFly flying at the moment? Deathhound will be watching us too carefully. I don't like that word. I will be streaming some of them as much as I possibly can. Just to let you know as well, Tom, could you let Adam know that the VXL dashboard is also on the project list, but I need to fix a lot of things with UniFly first. UniFly will take priority over version XL. Sorry. But, you know, I think UniFly deserves it. There's website stuff. I've also got other website development stuff as well. I don't think anyone is currently live right this second. As far as I'm aware, I'm just going to check. UniFly wise, yes, I'm on it. Okay, yep. I've just looked into self-promo clips and I'm seeing people show their PCs off, which makes no sense on A to B, so that's helpful. A to B flight sim, is there anyone in here who's currently live? I don't know. Version XL, anyone currently live? There's no self-promo, there's no point me even looking. I don't think we have. No one ever really uses our Discord to self promo. I don't think there's anyone who is currently doing it. So enjoy your night. Look after yourself. I'm just going to end off the stream a bit like